Old Town Portsmouth is lined with small, locally owned businesses, and as you can imagine, shop owners here are excited about this new movement. This neighborhood borders the Great Dismal Swamp. Officials tell me that swamp is overflowing into this retention lake, which is then flowing into the neighborhood.
Starting tomorrow morning, we might see more backups here at the Berkeley Bridge and in the downtown tunnel. You know the old saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. It is, and it's something all military members should be aware of. Now, affected stores were notified, and something that I discovered today is that military officials are really going to have their work cut out for them. Here at this annual training, all types of exercises are set up for students. As you can see, a lot of them involve drilling through concrete. Well, it seems like he has a long road to recovery ahead. He had surgery on a broken leg and ankle. He also has 5 broken ribs and a serious cut on his arm, but Trooper Hawkins seems to be in good spirits. Officials with the Public Works Department say this is the #1 reason the system gets clogged up, causing flooding. That's why it's so important to take precautions. It's a way to get high legally. This synthetic drug is sold in all kinds of shops under various names like Spice, K2, and Genie. Whatever you call it, the military says the dangers are too great to ignore.
When you're talking about any substance that stupefies the nervous system or otherwise alters thinking, it can be very dangerous. Even more so when you work in a field like the military where there's inherent danger to begin with.
The armed services have already banned the use and possession of these drugs by its service members, and now in Hampton Roads, they've decided to take it one step further. The military has created a list of shops that are now off limits to its personnel. Skinny's Records in Norfolk is on that list. The owner tells 13 News he didn't take it seriously at first, but has now decided to pull Spice off his shelves. Tobacco Plus, which is also on the list, has packed up and moved out. All potentially good signs for the Navy, however, ones that will surely keep policymakers busy.
And being that they said it was have a blacklist for Spice, we decided to say, hey, it's not worth it.
Tidewater Tobacco Shop is fairly new in town. The owner there says a lot of his business is from the military, and so they decided to avoid the controversy.
The profit was, it was good, but it wasn't really worth losing the customers over it.
You can find a complete list of the off-limits stores on our website, wvec.com, and if caught in one of these establishments, the service member would be in violation of a general order, and his or her military career could be in jeopardy. Live with the latest, Angela Bohon, 13 News. Every day, an estimated 92,000 vehicles pass through the downtown tunnel between Norfolk and Portsmouth. And this week, some drivers are being caught off guard, hitting a giant steel plate right before exiting the eastbound tube. VDOT is replacing an expansion joint that's degraded over time, and while crews are working overnight, a hole several inches deep is left behind. So rather than closing a lane, creating even more backups, a 1-inch thick steel plate patches the left lane. It's a temporary fix that's concerning drivers.
And if my tire blew out, I'd be wanting to sue the city.
13 News showed images of the plate to a local mechanic who says tire damage is a possibility. It could also wreck the alignment depending on what type of car and how fast it's going.
It depends on what angle you hit it too. You hit it at a certain angle, it probably could cut your tire. Depends on how sharp that bump is in the road.
VDOT assures drivers the plate is bolted to the roadway and that if folks stick to the speed limit, there shouldn't be a problem. A sign is posted outside the tunnel warning drivers. And VDOT is hoping to wrap up the work by Friday and remove that plate as well in time for the weekend. But again, if you're driving through the downtown tunnel, the eastbound tube this week, you may want to slow down. It might take you a little bit longer, but it could save you a lot of trouble in the long run. Reporting live in Norfolk, Angela Bohon, 13 News.
13 News reporter Angela Bohon. Angela, when will that area reopen to traffic?
Tomorrow by midday is when they're saying Granby should reopen. As you can see, crews have gone home for the day. That's because they are letting the concrete set. They will be back first thing tomorrow morning to finish repairing the asphalt. Now, some businesses had to shut down because they had no water, but those have since reopened and are ready to start the weekend. It's certainly not the sound you want to hear if you're a downtown business owner or even a customer.
It's a little annoying, you know, and I think that's a lot of reason people aren't coming in is because they don't want to be right by that.
AJ Gator's Bar and Grill is directly in front of the water main break. The local hangout is once again open, but had to shut down for 8 hours as water threatened the building.
I can't even describe it. I've never seen anything like it. Like the road kind of broke. It was up and down. We said it looked like there was an earthquake right there, and it was just bubbling up out of the water, out of the street, and it flooded all the way up almost to my front door in like seconds. It was crazy.
Other businesses like Granby Street Pizza haven't skipped a beat.
It really hasn't affected our business at all. We're actually very busy. It's Friday. Friday's our busiest day anyway.
The Tazewell Hotel was also spared, but not without complaints from customers.
They didn't have access to our loading zone right here, so they had to pretty much take their bags down the block. So it wasn't a pretty sight.
And it will continue to look like this all night, but again, Granby is expected to be reopened again by midday tomorrow. Again, crews are going to come out in the morning to finish repairing this asphalt. As for the cause of this water main break, no official word, but of course, cold temperatures could be a factor. Reporting live in downtown Norfolk, Angela Bohon, 13 News.
From your local news leader, this is 13 News.
The outrage over the shooting of a teenager in Florida is growing. Tonight, how people here in Hampton Roads are getting involved, demanding justice for Trayvon Martin. Welcome to 13 News at 11. I'm Angela Bohon. Earlier today, President Obama called the shooting of the unarmed teen in Florida a tragedy. He says every aspect of the case should be investigated.
I think all of us have to do some soul searching to figure out how does something like this happen.
We need sanity for them.
George Zimmerman confessed to shooting 17-year-old Trayvon Martin while Zimmerman was on neighborhood watch in Sanford, Florida. He was not arrested. People all over the nation are talking about the Trayvon Martin case. He was just 17 years old. Hundreds of Hampton University students joined the movement tonight. They held a rally on campus to support Trayvon's family. They say the case needs to be investigated more thoroughly.
Just like it was Trayvon, it could have been me. And a few years from now, it could be my son.
The shooter, George Zimmerman, said he shot Trayvon in self-defense. Police say they found the guy accused of exposing himself to a school bus driver. 28-year-old Robert McClenny is locked up tonight. He allegedly flashed the school bus driver on Route 58 near Pitch Kettle Road last week. Another driver reported a similar incident in January, but McClenny is not charged in that case. Police say he was in a red pickup truck when he fondled himself beside the bus and then drove off. McClenny is charged with indecent exposure. An 8-year-old Hampton girl is in the hospital tonight after being hit by a stray bullet. It happened near Augusta Street and LaSalle Avenue. Police say she was inside her home getting ready for dinner when a round struck her in the neck. The girl's father says a single round flew through the wall and hit her. Police say the girl's injuries do not appear to be life-threatening. Right now, they're trying to find out who did this. The ODU campus is still reeling after the arrest of star basketball player Kent Bazemore just before tip-off of last night's game. Beach police showed up at the TED last night and cuffed Bazemore just before the game with Mercer. It all has to do with a DUI case. Police say Bazemore didn't hold up his end of the deal that got his sentence suspended. Coach Blaine Taylor tells us he's not giving up on Kent.
You feel for people when they're in those spots. I think in an educational setting like this, you cling to the good things they do, but you also embrace their weaknesses. You also, stick with them in the lean times, and Kent will always be our guy.
Bazemore will graduate this May with 2 degrees in sociology and criminology. And 13 News broke this story last night on Facebook and Twitter. Follow us and find out first what's happening in your neighborhood. A neighborhood is rocked by an explosion tonight. People inside that home that blew up blame a possum. This is on Blackwater Road in Zuni. The homeowner said the renters were chasing a possum out of a bedroom when a stash of black powder blew. It's not clear what exactly ignited it. No one was seriously hurt. No one was arrested. In Chesapeake, crews pulled a stolen car from the bottom of a lake along Airline Boulevard. It was stolen yesterday in Suffolk. No one was inside and no word on who stole it. A note, it was Norfolk Police dive team members who assisted here. Chesapeake's dive team is still waiting for replacement equipment following the death of Officer Timothy Schock during a dive training accident. Cops round up cash, cars, and cocaine in a James City County drug bust. Tonight, Cecil Cropper Jr. is facing drug charges after officers raided his home in the Raintree neighborhood. They seized 3 cars, $136,000 in cash, along with cocaine, crack cocaine, and marijuana. Cooper is being held without bond. Cleanup is underway in Gates County after police took down a suspected meth lab there. Daniel and Veronica Dillon were locked up during the raid this morning. Dozens of detectives stormed their home on Rooks Road. The Dillons are accused of producing and selling meth. An 8-month investigation led agents from several states to their house. The chemicals involved in the lab were so strong and dangerous, agents had to wear gas masks just to enter the home.
The gas would be underneath like a mattress in a bedroom, and they raise the mattress and the gases actually hit them, and it can cut your breathing, just basically take half of your lung capacity just like that.
The Dillons are still locked up tonight. Crews spent the day breaking down the meth lab to make sure it didn't pose a threat to the neighborhood. Now to the 2012 vote and some damage control for the Republican frontrunner. Mitt Romney is working to downplay comments made by a campaign advisor. The advisor said today everything changes for Romney's fall campaign, comparing it to an Etch-a-Sketch. Opponents have jumped on it, accusing Romney of molding his views to fit political goals. Romney did get some good news today, though, picking up an endorsement from Florida Governor Jeb Bush. And here at home, Governor Bob McDonnell is doing well with most Virginians. The latest poll from Quinnipiac University shows 53% of Virginia voters approve of the governor's leadership, but that's a smaller number than his approval rating in February. It dropped after this latest legislative session where abortion rights with the ultrasound bill and gun control debates had many people divided. Well, they were gone a little more than a year, 367 days to be exact when you count the leap year day. Tonight, around 80 Army soldiers are back home at Joint Base Langley Eustis. They are members of the 6th Transportation Battalion. Their mission in Kuwait was to help the United States close the book on the war in Iraq, transporting over 11,000 containers of cargo.
It's always been challenges and obstacles that limit us from doing some of the things that we need to do to get where we got to get at. But as you see, we're resilient. We made it through and finally home, and it feels good to be home.
The soldiers were delayed coming home thanks to 3 days' worth of sandstorms in Kuwait, plus a big traffic accident today at the Fort Eustis main gate. Still to come on 13 News, lots of sunshine and warm temperatures. So why does this spring have so many people feeling downright miserable?
And speaking of warm temperatures, a high today of 80 degrees, but a cold front will slide through the area tonight. That means some cooler temperatures tomorrow. As a matter of fact, will probably be about 10 degrees cooler. Details straight ahead in your Weather Authority forecast.
You know the old saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, NASA's Wallops Island facility is a believer in that. It's trying again to launch 5 rockets that will help them study winds and jet streams. The weather has been a problem, though, and officials say there's only about a 10% chance of the launch happening tonight. If it does happen, people from South Carolina all the way up to Vermont will be able to see the chemical trail they leave behind. Springtime brings allergy season and a lot of sneezing. This year it's especially bad in the southeast. A reading of 120 is considered very high, but Atlanta broke the 13-year pollen count record this week with levels above 8,000. Experts blame the mild winter for plants and trees releasing pollen sooner. More than 60 million Americans suffer from allergies. Well, if you are one of those millions of Americans, listen up closely. We're going to check in with meteorologist Evan Stewart. And is there any relief in sight?
Well, we do have a few showers that'll try to move in later tonight. They'll be fairly isolated, but those who do see the wet weather will fortunately see a little bit of a drop-off in those pollen levels, at least for a day anyway. Let's take a look at live high-definition radar. Sweeping clear here locally, though off to the north and west. We are picking up some of those showers, some heavier rain along 64 and 95 as you're heading up towards the Richmond area, and some heavy rain back across western Virginia. That is with the cold front that'll slide through the area tonight. Now today we had a high temperature of 80 degrees. Tomorrow will be in the 60s, although it'll be the upper 60s for most of us, lower 70s once you move into those inland spots. Forecast over the next several days calls for an even cooler push of air on Friday, 63, back up to 72 Saturday with a couple of showers possible, 68 Sunday, back up to 76 Monday, 73 Tuesday, and 69 Wednesday. So just a couple of showers tonight. Keep that umbrella handy.
And I know I have to tell you, this morning I had the heat on, and I was worried we might have to turn the air conditioner on soon, but not quite.
I know, that's Hampton Roads. If you don't like the weather, stick around for a couple hours.
Thanks, Evan.
You're welcome.
Now to sports with Brian Smith. Tonight we're talking Redskins.
Redskins and Cowboys. They're kind of like the NFL's version of the Hatfields and McCoys.